All right, what's up? I'm back. Let's check this out. Welcome back to Tech Teacher Support. This is Chris, and today we are going to follow up on yesterday's video where we are going to install Folding at Home on our PC, and we are going to also set up our ID and our team. So yesterday we installed it on a Mac. Today we're going to install it here on our PC, and I'll bring that up. And just to recap yesterday, Folding at Home is a distributed computing software that lets your computer do chunks of research scientifically to help out scientific research on diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and ALS and now coronavirus. So we saw this article on Polygon, and it talks about how a number of people are running this software and doing sort of what's called protein synthesis and doing research and sending it back and trying to figure out how we can develop drug therapies and eventually, hopefully, a vaccine by doing millions of calculations on coronavirus and seeing what works. So obviously they don't have enough computers at Stanford or at any one hospital. So this program, Folding at Home, lets millions of people download the software and do little chunks of research and send it back to the research hub. That way they have essentially millions of computers helping them out instead of just a few hundred. So yesterday we set it up on our Mac and it's running, and I'll show that to you in a minute. Today we are going to set it up here on our PC. So let me pull this up. And we are here on our PC. This is a Dell laptop, just a pretty general laptop that a normal student would use, and it runs Windows 10. And we're going to download Folding at Home, and then I'm going to show you how you can give yourself an ID so you can keep track of how many work research units you're doing. And you can also contribute to a team, which is fun. Sometimes schools form teams or organizations form teams, and you can kind of keep track, and I'll show you where the stats are. And you can keep track of where your team is in relation to other teams. And it's pretty fun to see essentially how much research you can do to help sort of further the understanding of the way these proteins and these drug therapies work. So I think it's really cool. And so we're going to do this on PC. Here we go. So the first thing we want to do, obviously, is we are going to follow the same instructions. I left them up from yesterday. And we want to go to the website, foldingathome.org. So I'm going to pull that up here. And you can find that from this article. Obviously, you can just type that in, and it's foldingathome.org. And then it takes you to their website. And step 2 is start folding. And there's a button, start folding now. I used this button down here. And again, it's available for Windows and Mac and Linux. If you're someone who runs Linux computers, you can also use this software. So I'm going to hit start folding, and it should recognize that we are on a PC. And it does right there. It says you are going to get the Windows version. We are running Windows 10. And it says all versions, 32 and 64-bit, which essentially means any version of Windows OS as long as you're running Windows 10. And let's see. And there we are. This is the installer, version 7, So right here in the middle, it says Windows, and it says FAH installer. So we want to download that, and we're just going to click on it. And there it goes. You can see in the bottom left, it is downloading that file. Again, that goes pretty quick. It is a very small file. And as soon as this sort of finishes, it'll be done. And again, like I said yesterday, if you don't see the correct version for some reason, if this says Mac or this says Linux, and you know you're on Windows, you can click this link right here, Alternative Downloads, and it'll give you the version and a list of different versions so you can pick. But it looks like right down here, FAH installer is done downloading. So we're going to find that in our downloads folder. So we are done with Chrome. I'm going to go ahead and click this out. Of course, you can use Firefox or Edge or whatever browser you use. And I'm going to open up now my main file explorer and look for my downloads. And right here is downloads. That's where all my downloads go from Chrome. And right here it is, FAH installer. Now, unlike the Mac version, this version is not zipped. It's just ready to go. So I'm going to double click on it and it should open up and run. So we did number 2, start folding, which took us to the download. That is now in our downloads folder. And now number 4 is we need to run this installer. And we do that just by double clicking on it. So I'm going to run this. And of course it's going to give me a security screen. And just like we saw on the Mac, Windows wants you to make sure that you know that this is a verified file. So we got this right from their website. It's pretty legit and completely legit. This isn't something that someone sent us in an email or we got from some other source. So I'm going to go ahead, make sure you read this, and say yes. Now that launches the setup program here. It says welcome to Folding at Home setup. Now this is version 7.6.13. Every few weeks there's a new version that comes out. It'll update itself. This is the most recent version right from the website. So we're going to click next. Again, this is the sort of legal license agreement. And I'm going to agree to that. I agree. And now you have 2 options, Express and Custom Install. We're just going to do Express. I'm assuming that's what most people will do. So we are going to do Express. And now what it's doing is going through its install process. Just like on the Mac, it has a number of different files it needs to put in different places. If you were running an older version, for example, if you're in a computer lab and this was already installed, but it's an older version, it will remove the older version and put the new version on. So you can be sure you're getting the newest version. And you can see really quickly there, it sort of speeds through all of the files. And right now, you can actually start it right up. It's going to start folding at home when I click finish. So let's close this window here. And you can also see over on the left, it created an icon on the desktop, so you can get right to it from there as well. So I'm going to say finish. And now it should be launching the same window that we saw yesterday. And here we are. It launches this website window. And this website window is a sort of dashboard, right? It's a view in. And because I'm already created an ID in a team, it's going to show me some of my information here, right? So you can see on my screen, there's a bunch of information about my work units and my team, but we'll get back to that. What I want to show you again is the screen once you install it. So we are on number 5 here. We ran the installer, and now we need to start the control app, because I want you to see the app that sort of controls this instead of it being sort of a magic thing that happens in the background. The 2 ways to get to it, obviously you have this icon here on your desktop. So we can click that. The other place you can get to it is down here in your bottom taskbar. In your little task tray, item tray, it also lives in there. And in here is a number, if you right click on it, a number of things you can control it with as well. So let's do this. That's the way I've always run it, is from this bottom task tray. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open it from here. We're going to click on this. And we're going to see our little folding at home. And it's going to say right now nothing is active. That's fine. I'm going to then right click on this icon as well. And there we are. And you know what? Let me pull this over right here. And give me 1 sec. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm going to go through that again. In the item tray, I'm going to right click on this. And you see right here where it says Advanced Control. That's what I want to click on, because that's going to bring up the window we saw yesterday. There it is. Okay. Now, this should look familiar if you saw yesterday's Mac episode. But again, this is the sort of overall control of folding at home. And that's number 6 here. If you've made it this far, you are done. The only difference is I have set up a name and a team. But you will normally see, if this is your first time, where it says name here under identity, it will say anonymous. And that's fine. Your computer will do just as much work and research. It will just donate anonymously. I'm going to show you in a minute here how you can set up an ID and a team to sort of keep track of all the work your computer does, which just is fun to see the data behind and all the numbers behind what your computer is doing. But if you don't want to do that, you're done. It's anonymous. And what's going to happen right here on the screen, number 6, start work units. Work units are the little chunks of research that your computer does. And approximately looks like it takes a work unit a couple hours to get through. And then it'll send it back to the research hub and you'll download a new piece of research. And those are called work units. And it can give you some information over here of how many work units your computer has done. And we'll look at that in a minute. But that's what's going to happen. It might take an hour or so. It might take 10, 15 minutes. But your computer will eventually talk to the research hub and start downloading these work units. And then again, we talked up here, folding power. You can set this to light, medium, and full. This laptop literally just sits in the corner and runs the 3D printer. So I have it set on full. I have it just cranking all day, every day, because I don't use it for anything else. And so as you can see, it's churned through 86% of a work unit. And this is a little advanced, but not only does it use your main CPU, but if you have a graphics card, it can use that separately to do a second work unit. So this computer can actually do 2 work units at once because it uses the central processing unit, the AMD or Intel main CPU chip, and it also uses the graphics processor, which in this case is also an AMD Radeon. So I can actually do 2 work units at once. Depending on your computer or laptop, you will also be able to do multiple work units. So, all right, we're going to take a second here and segue to my final part of this video, which is setting up your name and team. And again, I think this is really cool because it helps you keep track of all the work your computer is doing. But if you don't feel like doing any of that, you're fine. It's ready to go. It's just going to run in the background, and it's going to continue to do work units and download them and send them as long as you keep it running. Again, you can find how to control that down here in the tray, and you can right click on this. And right now, as you can see, it's on pause. I want to put that, eventually I'm going to switch that back to on idle, which means when this computer is not doing work, when it's idling, it's going to churn through that. One last thing you can click on, and you know what, I will turn this computer on idle. So hopefully it starts doing a little bit of work. There's this viewer button here. And what that will actually do as I hover over this here, it will open sort of a view of the protein that your computer is working on. And it can be really cool to look at. And it tells you sort of up here as it fills in the project I'm working on, which again, you can look up this online and find out exactly what protein and sort of what disease vector they're trying to get at here. And this is in sort of, this information shows all the people that are working at it around the world. So that viewer is really cool. I'll leave that up and we'll see if it actually pulls up a picture of the protein you're working on here in a second. I don't want to click on these if they're going to ruin what's happening here. Okay. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to switch over to my Mac and we'll do IDs and teams, and I'll get you out of here on that. So thank you for hanging out and sticking around. And again, if you have any questions, you can post them in the video below in the comments on YouTube, or as you can see right here, you can post them on our Twitter. That's at TechTeacherSup, S-U-P, and that's on Twitter. Post any of your questions that you have about anything, and we'll get them during our office hours. We do a live stream every day, sometimes twice a day, and a more firm schedule will be coming soon. So thanks for hanging out. We're going to switch over to our Mac, and we're going to do Teams and ID. So I'm going to pop this out right here. I'm going to put that over. Now again, you can have multiple computers running this. I have a number of computers in the house that do different things, and I have this installed on all of them. So if I'm not using any of my computers, it's going to churn through some research, and hopefully one of the chunks of research that my computer does helps, find a breakthrough or find a little bit of more information into something. And that's the hope with all of us, is that our computers, with enough of us doing this, we're going to find a breakthrough here, right? And it's the least we can do with our computers that are just sitting around. So we're going to pull up and show you how to do this. I'm going to pull up some stats and things and show you where those are at. So we're back to our Mac here. And as you can see, this is running, and the graphics look very similar to the Windows that we were just on, the Windows 10 version. And I can pull up and zoom on the Mac so it's a little easier. But over here, you can see this information start to fill in. So status is running. So this computer is actually running a work unit right now. Well, probably not right now because I'm using it. It runs when you're idling. And it's 43% through this work unit. It's been working for an hour and 40 minutes. Then you see these credits. That's kind of the points you get for how much work your computer does. And again, over here, it has name and team. So let's look at that really quick. You'll see at the top of this window on PC and Mac, there's a configure button. This is essentially your settings button. So I'm going to click on that and look at some of these settings, and I'll start at this first tab. I haven't really changed any of these. These have stayed essentially the same as when you installed it. As far as my computer, the only thing I've done is gone into the identity section. But again, you can click through if you're curious what these are. It's fun for me always to look through the different settings and preferences. Sometimes you can control the look and the feel of it. But again, connection, I've just left that how it is. That's how you connect to the Research Hub. And again, that's already set up for you. And then we have identity. So this is the second tab. And again, the rest of these you can look through, advanced and expert. I haven't messed with any of those, and it runs great. So let's focus here on identity. It says, how would you like to be credited? So here you can put your sort of username in. You can put just your name in if you're a teacher, or your school lab's name in. Essentially, whatever you want your username to be. There's no rules about it. And it'll start crediting that, and then you can look up on the website and see how much work you've done over the months and years that you've been doing this. All right. The second thing you can do is contribute towards a team. So we're going to look here in a second at the team stats. And I always like doing this when I work with a school and have all of their computers join a team to sort of keep track of how much work your whole school is doing. And then you can dig a little deeper and see which computers are doing the most work, and you can get kind of nerdy about all the data. But what I did is I started a team, and teams have numbers. And so right here you see my number, 251192. And we are going to look at that and show you on the website where you can find a team if you want to contribute towards one, or you can make your own team like I did and then have your friends contribute to your team. So I'm going to pull up, I believe we are on Google Chrome right here. And again, this is stats.foldingathome.org. And if we just go there, this is all of the stats for the teams. and it goes by the month. So this is the month of May, and you can start to see some pretty familiar names in here. For example, NVIDIA Corporation is ranked 13th here. And then this column shows how many credits. So again, as your computer churns through work units, it produces credits. That's how they keep track of how much work you do. And these are the work units themselves. And then this is the team number. So if you see one of these teams, and again, you can do a search up here. If there is a school or university that already has a team and you're just trying to find it, you can search for them. And then this is what you're looking for, this team number. So again, if you're really into Tom's Hardware, it's one of your favorite websites, you notice that their team number is 40051. All right. So you can go over to your control over here. Let's hide this. And you can go into team number and you can put in 40051. And then all of the work that your computer does will be contributing to that. So we're going to update this a little bit here. And let me find properties. Okay. And we are team 251192. Okay. And then what we want to do before that, sorry about that real quick, is FAH control config identity. Give yourself a name. There we go. I just like having the instructions up here. And so let's scoot this over a little bit. So again, you want to go to your FAH control window, right? So you want to go to this main window here, and we saw the same on our Windows 10 install. And you want to click up here in the corner, this configure button, sort of your settings, right? And then again, and within that, you have a number of tabs, and we want to click the identity tab. So I'll show you that. And then within that, give yourself a name, Tech Teacher Support. Now I could call this Tech Teacher Support Mac, and I could call that Tech Teacher Support Dell, and you could give each computer its own name if you wanted. And then right down here, this is the team that you want to contribute to. So again, you can find a team online, or you can make your own team and have your friends and your school contribute to it as well. So let's pull up Google Chrome. And here are our stats. So it's pretty cool. It shows you I've done 79,000 credit, 25 work units. Okay, sure. And it's really fun to look around at all the stats of the different computers. As you can see, Windows computers rule, probably because there's so many more of them. And even Linux in here crunches. And then Mac is way down here in third place. Oh well, we're trying with our Mac, right? So anyways, thank you for tuning in. Oh, one last thing I wanted to show you this is here. Passkey. This is a new feature. This is called Passkey. And this is like a security feature. So, like I said up here, you can give yourself a name. While there's nothing stopping you from calling yourself NVIDIA Corporation and contributing as NVIDIA, right? So a passkey is sort of a way for you to truly identify yourself. So that's pretty advanced. You don't even need to worry about it. It's kind of something more security-wise that you would be more concerned about if you really wanted the stats to make sure was reflecting only you and there wasn't someone else calling themselves you. So don't even worry about it. Give yourself a cool name, find a team, or donate to Tech Teacher Support right there, Team 251192. And let me know if you have any questions, again, about installing it and running it on the PC, running it on the Mac, or just with the ID and team stuff, or just any questions about it. So we'll check back in with this. We're going to move on to some other projects, some coding and some robotics and drone projects. So stop in next week. It's going to be a lot of fun seeing everyone. And remember, you can post on Twitter at TechTeacherSup if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to help you with them and walk you through anything we can. So have a great weekend. Take it easy. I'm going to come over here and find the magic end stream button. You guys have been awesome. I will see you all next week. Stay healthy. All right. Peace.